Hello and okay, and in this MLFR report we'll be going over Fire Monster and Water Monster. So this is a fusion between the Fire Monster MLFR report and the Water Monster MLFR report, with some extra added content. Now let's get on to the first elemental monster, Fire Monster.
Hello and okay, and welcome to the MLFR report for this iconic J-Doodles kaiju, Fire Monster. Well, this is Fire Monster, a giant burning kaiju. And yes, I know how similar it looks to Godzilla, but it could have been worse. This is like the 103 design. But more on that later. Well, he has fire on his head and back, stripes on his belly and his head, and a red coloration. And he's on fire because of highly flammable sap that leaks from his tough skin, causing it to go on fire. And the places the sap can come out of is the top of his head, his mouth, his back, his belly, his arms, and finally his tail. And now, let's get on to his abilities. Well, his abilities are Firehead, Firehead/Belly, Fire Punch, and finally Tail Whip. Now let's get on to his first ability, Firehead. Well, Firehead is used by projecting the fire on his head out through his mouth, and there are 3 different ways you can use this ability, which are breathing fire normally like this, shooting out burning sap for better aim like this, and finally shooting out burning sap chunks like this. Well, the next ability is Fire Back/Belly. Well, this ability is used by shooting sap out of his back or belly like this. Now onto our next ability, Fire Punch. Well, this ability is used by sap seeping out of the monster's hands and arms like this. And Fire Tail is used by sap seeping out of his tail like this.
Now on to general stuff. Well, this is a new section where we will go over designs and other stuff. Well, Fire Monster was inspired by Godzilla, but at the start he looked too much like Godzilla, so I had to change him to not look like Godzilla. And after many different designs, I finally did not have it, so I had to look back on what it used to be and go off from there. So I did that, and I looked back at Primatheosaurus Rex, which was basically just an old reconstruction of T-Rex. That grew to kill its prey easier, and then the prey grew, and then it grew, and then the prey grew, and then it grew, and then all of a sudden we have giant kaiju-sized dinosaurs. But some went into the water, some fire monsters followed, now we have water monster, but that's for next file report, so yeah. And the reason they got so big without collapsing under their own weight is because they didn't. Because everything in this world is smaller, meaning something that is normal size to us would be massive for primates. They're like people of this world, even though they're not primates or people, they are something totally different, but I'll tell you about it soon enough. So fire monster is only like 6 foot tall. Well, there are 3 different species of fire monster, that being normal fire monster robustus, and finally Fire Monster Devil Dawn. But there's no difference other than visual, so everything that is true for Fire Monster is true for robustus and Devil Dawn. And yes, both of them can go into their beast form, but they look almost identical as Magma Beast. And that's all we have for Fire Monster. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the MLFR report for the aquatic counterpart of Fire Monster, Water Monster. Hello and okay, and this is Water Monster, a giant semi-aquatic tychon with a mosasaur-like tail, 2 stripes on its belly and head, and no visual fire or water. And in this MLFR report, we'll be going over the species, talking about their abilities, design, and more. Now, let's get on to abilities. Well, his abilities are Water Beam and Water Back. Now let's go into the first ability, Water Beam. Well, Water Beam is used by a sack filling up with water in the back of the monster's throat, shooting out, and get this, a beam. And that's basically it. Now let's get on to our next ability, Water Back. And it works in pretty much the same way. A sack in his back filling up with water and shooting out, well, water. But it has a wider slot to shoot out of. And if it runs out of water in its sacks, it has extra water stored in its forearms, which leads to whichever sack needs it. And the sacks that contain water in its forearms is Water Monster's version of Fire Punch. But when they branched out from each other, one used the sack to hold flammable sap and the other used it to hold water. Now, on to general stuff. Well, Water Monster is the opposite of Fire Monster. So, like, instead of fire, it's water, and instead of 3 stripes on its belly, it's 2. But I think that's pretty obvious, so yeah. And due to a rare genetic mutation, Water Monster and Fire Monster can both go into their beast form, that being Ice Beast for Water Monster, or Magma Beast for Fire Monster.
And like Fire Monster, Water Monster also has different species. But there's only one other than normal Water Monster. That being Water Monster Deinonychus. And they are adapted for a more quick and speedy lifestyle.
And I think that's all, so bye-bye.
Okay, say hi.
Hi!
There we go.